Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're talking directly to you today about something, something we all grapple with, finding work we genuinely love. You shared a really interesting set of sources with us, and they all seem to circle around a core question, one that kind of pushes back against the standard career advice.
Yeah, that old follow your passion line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're diving into whether that's really the best way to build a fulfilling career. And it turns out these sources point towards something, maybe a bit surprising.
They really do. We're often told, pinpoint your deepest passion, then find a job that fits it perfectly.
Right.
But the material you've sent us, learner, it explores a different angle.
Right.
What if developing valuable skills, what these sources call career capital?
Yeah.
What if that's the real key?
Career capital, like the skills you bring to the table, your leverage.
Precisely. Your professional skill set, the things that make you valuable in the job market.
Okay, let's maybe get into this with a story. One of the sources starts with Thomas, a lay monk. He basically followed his passion for Zen Buddhism all the way to a monastery.
Up in the Catskill Mountains, right. This was supposed to be it for him. The dream. Years of imagining this sense of deep happiness he'd find there. Well, as Thomas found out, the reality, it didn't quite match the dream. There's this moment where he's walking in an oak forest, a place he'd actually had this big spiritual insight before. And instead of feeling bliss, he just breaks down crying. The whole image he'd built up was just crumbling.
Wow. So his whole journey studying philosophy, theology, traveling the world, searching for spiritual answers, it all led him there.
Right. He did everything, the chores, the routines, even graphic design for their journal. He really dove in. But after all that intense study, even after what felt like a breakthrough, he kind of realized that the core insight of Zen, while profound, was sort of it. The main thing his path offered, the depth he was searching for felt maybe finite.
Finite. It's a tough realization.
And it really brings us smack into the central question of this deep dive. How do people actually end up loving what they do?
Because Thomas's story really challenges that simple follow your passion advice.
Totally. It highlights how that dream job might not deliver the lasting fulfillment we expect it to. It makes you think about your own life, doesn't it?
For sure. Have you ever chased something you were passionate about and found it wasn't quite it?
Oh, definitely. It's a really thought-provoking way to start. It immediately makes you pause on that almost automatic advice.
So let's dig into why these sources think follow your passion might be flawed, and crucially, what they suggest instead. Steve Jobs comes up, interestingly.
Yeah, the Apple origin story. It's fascinating because, according to these sources, Apple Computer wasn't born from some burning lifelong passion for computers. Not at all.
Really? What was it then?
Well, when a young Steve Jobs came back from India, he got involved with Steve Wozniak in what the source calls a pretty opportunistic kind of small-time scheme.
Small-time Apple.
Yeah.
At the start, yeah. Selling circuit boards to local hobbyists. Buy for $25, sell for $50. That was the plan.
Wow. So not exactly think different from day one.
Not according to this. The source really emphasizes their plans were circumspect and small time. They weren't aiming to take over the world initially. It was about making a bit of cash.
And the point is, if Jobs had only followed his apparent passion back then, which seems more like Zen Buddhism,
Or even his travels, yeah. His career would have looked totally different. Apple, as we know it, maybe wouldn't even exist.
So it challenges that idea that you have to find the passion first, sometimes just jumping on an opportunity.
Exactly. Acting on an opportunity, being willing to try something, that can lead to big things, maybe even more so than waiting for the perfect passion to strike.
That connects to another perspective in the source's Ira Glass, from This American Life.
Yes. He was talking to some students, and he actually pushed back against that go for your dream mantra.
What was his take?
The key thing for Glass is that getting good takes time. Mastery takes time. He talked about his own early radio days. It wasn't love at first sight. He said you have to force yourself through the work, force the skills to come.
Force the skills.
Yeah. That period where you're not great, maybe you don't even enjoy it much, that's where you build the skills that later open doors and potentially lead to passion.
It's that grind, pushing through the tough start to get competent.
Right. And the sources even throw in some data suggesting that, even though we talk more about passion in careers now,
workplace happiness has actually gone down.
Seems like it. A bit of a paradox, isn't it?
So, okay, if following passion might be problematic, let's look at someone who did seem to follow it.
Scott.
Yeah, Scott. landed what looked like his dream job in D.C., loved the office, the people, the boss, Everything seemed right.
Sounds pretty good.
By all accounts, yes. He fulfilled the passion hypothesis, but he still felt unfulfilled.
Even with the dream job. Even then, it raises that point about the reality of any job, right? Dream job or not, there are always tough parts, boring parts, responsibilities you don't love.
True.
Scranton started questioning if his perfect job was perfect enough. Ended up searching again, but couldn't even figure out what else he'd want to do.
So the passion didn't guarantee satisfaction. There's a gap between the idea and the reality.
Exactly. That gap seems pretty important.
Okay, so if follow your passion isn't the magic bullet, what's the alternative the sources put forward, this craftsman mindset?
That's the term they use, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a real shift in focus. Instead of asking, what can the world offer me? Like, how can it fulfill my passion?
You ask,
what can I offer the world? It's about becoming valuable, building skills, mastery for its own sake almost. And that's the path to a fulfilling career.
Becoming valuable first.
Yeah.
Okay. These an example, right? Jordan Tice, the musician.
Yes, the bluegrass musician. His whole approach just embodies this craftsman mindset.
How so?
Well, it wasn't like he suddenly discovered bluegrass. His parents were musicians, so it was always around. But the craftsman part is his incredible dedication to getting better.
The practice.
Oh, yeah. Super structured practice.
Yeah.
Hours just pushing slightly beyond what he can already do. Always stretching.
And the source mentioned his humility, something about the tape doesn't lie.
Exactly. It's not about hype. It's about the skill. The tape doesn't lie. Your ability, the result of the work, speaks for itself. His focus is just on getting so good they can't ignore you.
That's a great line. So good they can't ignore you.
And you see the same thing with Steve Martin in comedy. He figured it took him, a decade?
A decade to really nail his act. Wow.
Yeah. It wasn't some flash of inspiration. It was relentless work, honing the jokes, the timing, building trust with the audience by just being undeniably good night after night.
So that's the craftsman mindset. Focus on getting really, really good at something valuable.
And the idea is, as you build those skills, you gain leverage. You create options.
Yeah.
And that can lead to fulfilling work, even if it wasn't your first passion.
Which brings us back to career capital.
Exactly. Career capital is just that collection of rare and valuable skills you build up. Like financial capital, you can spend it to get things you want in your job.
Like autonomy or more creativity, impact.
All of those. Things that make work feel good.
The sources use a comparison to make this clear, right? Lisa Foyer versus Joe Duffy.
Yeah, it's a stark contrast. Lisa Foyer had the passion mindset, quit advertising, did a short yoga training, started a studio because she wanted to follow that passion.
Okay.
Then there's Joe Duffy. Also in advertising, maybe felt some limitations, but he didn't just jump ship. He focused. He decided to get really good at one specific thing, international logos and brand icons.
He built specific skills. Career capital?
Deliberately acquired it. And the outcome.
Yes. Different.
Very. Lisa struggled financially. Competitive market, maybe not enough differentiated skills yet. Joe Duffy, he thrived. His skills bought him more control, more interesting projects. Eventually started his own super successful firm, had a waiting list.
Wow. So one struggled, one ended up with a great career in retirement.
It really hammers home the point. Passion might get you started, but it's the valuable skills, the capital that give you leverage and long-term success.
But it's not a universal rule, is it?
Yeah.
The sources mention some exceptions, disqualifiers.
Right. Crucial point. The craftsman mindset isn't for every single situation. 3 main disqualifiers. First, the job just offers 0 real opportunity to develop valuable skills. If you can't get better, you can't build capital. Makes sense.
Okay, no chance to grow. What's the second?
The job focuses on something you think is useless or maybe even harmful, like fundamentally clashes with your values.
Ah, okay. Even if you could get skilled, you wouldn't want to.
Exactly. Your motivation would tank.
Yeah.
The example was that MIT computer scientist who turned down high-paying Wall Street jobs because he felt the work wasn't contributing positively.
Got it. And the third disqualifier.
You have to work with people you genuinely despise. A really toxic environment. Even if you're learning skills, that can just drain you and undermine everything.
So find a place where you can grow, doing something you don't object to, with people you can at least tolerate.
Basically, yeah. Those are the conditions where the craftsman mindset can really flourish.
Okay, so assuming you're not one of those disqualifying situations, how do people actually build this career capital? Let's look at more examples. Alex Berger, the TV writer.
Right. Alex's journey into television writing is interesting because he made a mistake at first.
Oh.
He treated Hollywood like an auction market, trying to get a bit of experience here, a bit there, thinking a diverse resume was key.
Which isn't how TV writing works.
Apparently not. He realized it's more winner take all. What matters above almost everything else is the quality of your script. One killer script beats a varied but mediocre background.
So only one type of capital really counted there.
Pretty much. So he totally shifted gears, locked himself away, and just wrote constantly, multiple projects, and crucially, sought out feedback, even when it was tough.
Deliberate practice again.
Textbook deliberate practice, focused on the one thing that mattered, pushed himself, got feedback, and eventually it paid off. He landed writing gigs.
Okay, that makes sense for a creative field. What about something different like venture capital? Mike Jackson.
Mike's path is interesting because it wasn't a straight line. It wasn't like he decided, I want to be a VC, and followed steps 1, 2, 3.
Unwinding?
Yeah, more like strategically collecting valuable skills along the way. He studied biology and earth systems, did a master's on natural gas in India.
Okay, kind of specific.
Which led to expertise in international carbon markets. Used that to start his own green energy company.
Wow, okay.
Now, that company didn't actually succeed long term. But the skills he gained understanding those markets, the entrepreneurial experience that made him super attractive to a clean tech venture capital firm.
So the failed startup still built valuable capital.
Exactly. His approach was flexible. Always looking for ways to build useful skills, valuable capital, rather than sticking to one rigid plan. The source even mentions he meticulously tracked his hours.
To make sure he was spending time on skill building.
Seems like it, like his own form of deliberate practice, making sure his effort was focused on things that actually improved his capital.
These stories really show it's about accumulating those rare and valuable skills, and then you can leverage them, sometimes in unexpected ways.
And the engine driving that accumulation, the core strategy, is this deliberate practice.
Right, it's not just putting in hours, is it? It's something specific.
Very specific. I mean, you mentioned your experience just playing guitar versus Jordan Tice's practice.
Yeah, worlds apart. I noodle around, play songs I know. He's actively pushing his limits, working on hard stuff, probably using a metronome.
And seeking feedback, that's key. Intentionally stretching your abilities and finding out where you're weak.
The chess grandmaster analogy was good too.
Right. The best players don't just play endless games. They spend way more time on serious studies, analyzing positions, solving problems, reviewing master games.
Compared to intermediate players who might just play lots of tournaments.
Exactly. So deliberate practice isn't just repetition. It's focused effort designed to improve performance, pushing boundaries, and getting feedback.
It involves going outside your comfort zone, tackling things that feel hard.
It should feel hard, and embracing feedback even when it's critical, because that's how you spot the weaknesses and figure out how to fix them. It's not always comfortable.
Definitely not always fun in the moment.
But essential for real improvement, according to these sources.
So how do you apply this? The sources have some actionable steps, right? The 5 habits of a craftsman.
Yes, 5 habits to help put deliberate practice into action for building career capital. First, decide what capital market you're in.
Meaning?
Understand the rules of the game for your field. Is it winner take all, like Alex Bridger realized TV writing was, where one specific skill is dominant?
Or is it an auction market?
Right. Like maybe tech or marketing or Mike Jackson's clean tech space, where having a combination of several valuable skills might be better. Knowing the market helps you know what kind of capital to build.
Okay, understand the market. What's habit 2?
Identify your capital type.
Wow.
Once you know the market, focus on the specific valuable skills needed. If it's an option market, maybe look for open gates.
Open gates.
Opportunities that are already accessible to you to start building relevant skills, like Mike Jackson working with that Stanford professor early on. It was an available path to build expertise.
Makes sense. Start where you can. Third habit.
Define good. You need clear goals. What does good enough look like for the skill you're building?
Like Alex Berger aiming for a script good enough to land an agent.
Exactly. A clear, concrete target. Otherwise, your practice isn't focused. How do you know if you're improving?
Right. Need a benchmark. Fourth habit is stretch and destroy. Sounds intense.
It kind of is. It means you have to constantly push beyond your current abilities. Embrace the discomfort. If practice feels easy, you're probably not stretching enough.
And the destroy part.
That's about seeking and really listening to feedback, letting it destroy your weak spots so you can rebuild them stronger. Actively look for constructive criticism.
Okay, got to be willing to face the hard truths. And the last habit, number 5.
Be patient. This is maybe the simplest but hardest one. Building significant career capital, getting really good. It just takes time. Sustained effort over the long haul, no shortcuts.
Patience. Not always easy.
Definitely not, but essential.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up for you, our learner. The big takeaway seems to be that building valuable skills, this career capital,
Through that craftsman mindset focused on deliberate practice.
that might actually be a more reliable path, maybe even less anxiety-inducing, than just trying to pinpoint and follow a pre-existing passion.
Yeah, and again, it's not saying passion is irrelevant or bad. Not at all. Passion is great fuel.
Right.
But the argument here is that deep passion often follows mastery. It develops as you get good at something valuable, as you gain competence, see your impact, earn autonomy.
You grow to love the work because you're good at it, and it gives you rewarding things.
That seems to be the core idea. Passion as a consequence of skill rather than just the prerequisite.
Which leads us to a final thought for you. Think about the skills you have now with the ones you could develop. What if you really focused on getting exceptionally good at something, even if it's not your burning passion right now? How might that mastery open up doors you can't even see yet? Doors to fulfilling work.
Yeah, maybe take a moment to consider that capital market you're in. What skills are truly valued? Where could deliberate practice take you?
It's definitely a different way to think about career planning.
We hope you continue exploring these ideas, learner, and see how they might fit into your own journey. Thanks for sharing these fascinating sources.
Absolutely. Lots to think about there.